Thank you.
I will now recognize my friend and the gentleman from North Carolina. I assume he has no unanimous requests for New York Times or NPR articles.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Centeno, I don't know if you were shocked, but Congressman Hunt just said he has an ID. Were you shocked by that or surprised by it?
Was I surprised? No.
No. Do you think generally people who are naturalized citizens take pride in that accomplishment?
I would assume yes.
Are you familiar with the educational process accompanying naturalization?
Yes.
Do they impart that becoming a naturalized citizen is what you have to do in order to be able to vote, and that you have the voting right, the franchise, by virtue of being naturalized?
It would be my understanding, but if I can't tell you specifically whether that's part of the curriculum or how that comes about.
Do you think someone who has worked hard and followed the process to become a naturalized citizen would take offense at the prospect of their vote being diluted by people who are not citizens having access to the vote?
I can't speculate as to what a specific individual may or may not believe about their vote. What I can say is that the idea that a vote is being canceled out because of widespread non-citizen voting is simply false. We have no evidence that there is widespread non-citizen voting, and we have no evidence that votes have been canceled out by something that we haven't been able to prove.
Well, let me first say, I don't think it requires speculation. I'm pretty sure that someone who is striven to become a United States citizen, has accomplished that landmark in their life, I think they'd be proud of the right to vote. I think they would be absolutely committed to the idea that folks who haven't gone through the same process that they've done and accomplished the same outcome should not be voting. Why is the lack of evidence that it is happening on a widespread basis a reason not to guard against it?
Because when we know that there is no evidence of widespread non-citizen voting, but we do know that documentary proof of citizenship laws prevent eligible citizens from registering to vote, it's simply bad public policy.
How do they prevent them?
We have lots of evidence that documentary proof of citizenship, restrictive voter laws, prevent U.S. citizens from exercising their right to vote by preventing them from being on the voter rolls.
Same idea as like Congressman Hunt not being able to get an ID?
Obtaining documentation is incredibly difficult for many individuals.
That's the same point he was making. I get it. All right, how about that, Ms. Mitchell? What about that?
Well, I just don't believe that people in this, the vast majority of people are able to get IDs, they're able to get their documentary proof of citizenship, and they're doing it every day by the millions. The problem is that we don't care enough about our voting system to make certain that we treat it with the respect that it deserves. We require it for people to get a real ID, but not to register to vote, and we make it impossible. We make it very difficult for states to be able to ascertain who is and who is not a citizen for voting purposes. Once they get on the list, I just read during the recess that the Department of Justice sent out a memo today to people all over the country, election officials, reminding them that they are not allowed to remove ineligible voters because now is the blackout period. Well, that's not even actually true, but it just goes to show you that this Justice Department can produce a memo of guidance on issues that it cares about.
Right. Well, you say it doesn't, it's not a question that they, I think you meant universally, don't care enough about our voting, but it's actually, there's another prospect there, isn't it? That is, it's not a question of not caring about our voting, it's actually an intention to see to it that the circumstances are chaotic enough that a vote that you depend on that cannot legitimately cast nonetheless has the opportunity to be cast. Isn't that right?
That's absolutely right. And they throw around the insults and the accusations that you're a racist, you're a vote suppressor.
Isn't that the best technique? If you're trying to see to it that non-citizens vote and turn the margin in close races, and you consider that to be essential to your political success, then what are you going to do? You're going to say, one, we don't think there's a problem, and two, you're a racist if you suggest that we enforce the law. Isn't that what you do if you want to?
Absolutely. And the other thing is, there's always this discussion of there's no widespread. Well, number one, how do we know?
They don't know.
How do we know? We don't know. We
You can't-
know that non-citizens are registering. We know that non-citizens are voting. How do we know whether it is or isn't widespread if we don't investigate it, if we don't make it a priority, if we don't require documentation?
As is
We don't
sometimes
know.
said, the absence of evidence is not evidence of absence.
I think the gentleman.